Hello there everyone, Erin here. I'm glad you're joining me. I'm going to put together a double-page scrapbook layout for you today, and I am using the Autumn to Remember kit. Normally I bring in all the papers and show you what I'm going to be working with, but I just have some scraps, and I think I'm going to finish off this kit today. I'm going to do my best. So I went ahead and printed my photos. These are Thanksgiving of 2020, which if you all remember was kind of a weird year for holidays, right? So I printed my photos to coordinate with this particular layout here. So I got the Autumn to Remember scrapbooking workshop, and I have loosely followed this design, and then I did something completely different, and now my third layout I'm following this one here, but of course I'll switch it up and make it my own. So I already used this paper. Do you see this one here with the kind of wonky graph grid? That's what they've used, and I, like I said, already used that on a different layout. But I did have this specialty paper right here, and I had the full 12 sheet. You can see they've used just a strip of it in this layout. So I went ahead and decided to use this one in lieu of that wonky graph paper. So let me bring in my base cardstock here. This is the two-tone in Petal Pink. You can see there's a light side and a darker side. I am going to use the lighter side, and it does call for this cardstock, and I thought, you know what, let's go for it. Sometimes it's fun to try something new. So we've got our base sheet, and then I am, like I said, I'm using this one in place of that other paper. So I cut it directly in half at 6 inches. I did follow along with the workshop. They give you the cutting guide. Normally I'm a visual scrapbooker, but sometimes it's nice to be like, how big did they make that piece? And just so you don't have to kind of think about it. So I did cut those, and this is such a pretty paper because it has that distressing worked into the background. That's called Cajun Craze, and it has like little tiny bare tree branches on there. So those are going to sit like this. Now here's where I kind of ran into an issue. So they have this paper here, which on the opposite side has these cute woodland animals, but I think that this one will go better with my photos. So I've got one for that side, but I didn't have one big enough for the other side. So we'll have to get creative, and I'm sure it'll be just fine. So they've got two photos over here. So let's go ahead and bring those in. That's my husband and I, and we were out enjoying the fire after our Thanksgiving meal. It was just our family because, you know, it was 2020, and I decided I wasn't going to let that ruin things, so I still decorated the table. We made kind of a somewhat traditional meal. We didn't have a big turkey, but we made all the side trimmings, and then I think we smoked a chicken in the barrel. So there we are outside. This is actually my nephew. He lived just down the way, so he was part of our tribe there, and then my son Hayden. So these photos are going to go like that, and then they have the two photos here. And if you look at this design, they have these white pieces here, and I still have those. So they have them, and there's a bunch of paper strips to inlay, and they're even labeled. They tell you what project they go to. They're really so simple. So if you don't have a lot of time to scrapbook, or if you feel like, you know, you spend too much time staring at your paper pack trying to make decisions, this can be really helpful to simplify that process for you. And you'll see this is going to look different when I'm done with it, because I'm going to do different embellishments and then add my own personal touch on it. But this is a great jumping off point. So something like this is how they have it, and it'll look different when we bring in those papers too. Here's all those extra little bits and pieces that you can inlay into those diagonal stripes to add the color, but I'm not going to bother with that just yet. So I am a little bit bothered that this doesn't come over farther. So I want this showing on the left side of my photo, and you know, they're dealing with a bigger piece here. So I do have some other pieces. So what I could do is try to kind of camouflage that and make it look bigger. Sometimes, you know, if you strategically place your embellishments in the right location, you can hide where you've patched different patterns together. And some patterns are easier to, you know, make it look like it's one solid piece, and others not so much. So we'll just kind of play with that later. I just am getting an idea to see if it really makes that big of a difference for me. So let's bring these in here. And I don't know, I'm feeling like these photos are not standing out. I almost like them better without that white piece under there. I feel like it was a little bit distracting for my photos. My photos are a bit busier. There's more going on in the background. So having a simplified background, I think, is a little bit better. You know what? I do like it. I think this is neat, and it's kind of funny when I look at the layout. I really like this element on there, and I don't feel like it detracts from the photos here. But like I said, those are a simple background. They don't have visual clutter going on like I do. So I think I might kind of skip the white pieces. I don't know. Let's let it develop. I am going to cut this one down to the same length here. I just have that set there for now. I haven't made any commitments other than cutting it the same length. And I have quite a few stickers left actually, because I've been using stamps and other things on my title on the other pages. But I really like this one, Grateful for This Moment Together, which is actually what they use in this workshop. So that is kind of sitting there. I did take the adhesive off of this by rubbing it with my anti-static powder tool. So let's just bring that in. And to be fair, with the white pieces, I'm going to place these, I'll dry fit them on the layout with these strips in there to see if that makes a difference, because, you know, that could definitely change things up. So I will go ahead and do that really quick just to make sure that doesn't look better, because sometimes these little tiny differences make a big difference, right? So I'll go ahead and squeeze these under here just to, I think they have one there, and then they have this one up top here in, it looks like this one, maybe this one. Yeah. So here it is as intended with all of the pieces. And then here it is without. So often when I'm kind of trying to decide between one version or another, I will take a picture of it. And then I can easily toggle back and forth really quickly to see which one jumps out at me, rather than, because sometimes it's hard to tell, you know, but this way, just flipping back and forth really quick, you can really see the difference. So that really helps me when I'm not sure about something. And keep in mind, I still have a lot more embellishing and things to add to this layout. So I think that I'm still going to leave those off. Inspired by all of the leaves in these photos, I'm going to create a bunch of embellishments with the Changing Leaves Stamp and Die set. So this has a coordinating embossing folder. So to make this simple, I am going to die cut out a bunch of these in white cardstock, and then I can add colors with my inks. So this just kind of pops into place here. You'll feel it kind of click, and then you can see it's staying put. And then I have a piece of white paper. So then I'm going to just sandwich these in here, and I'll run this through my die cutting machine. Let me scoot this out of the way. And then just like that, you have these beautifully die cut textured leaves. Now this embossed some leaves that were not die cut out. You can see that right here. There's a few others up top here. I'm going to fussy cut those out and utilize them on the layout. Let me hold this up so you can see that gorgeous textured detail. So pretty. Inspired by the colors in the paper, I have pulled some inks, and I've got Mossy, Meadow, Cherry Cobbler, Copper Clay, Crushed Curry, and Cajun Craze. Now, Cherry Cobbler's not a featured color in here, but in my photos, you can see the reds in my decor, and then also in these leaves here. So I thought it'd be fun to bring those in. So let me grab my all-purpose mat. You just want to bring in something to protect your work surface. We are doing some ink blending, so this is nice and easy to clean up. Let me bring these in, and then we need our blending brushes. And I think I'm going to start with let's actually start with the Crushed Curry and Cajun Craze. Let's start with the crushed curry, and we will ink up the outer tips of the leaves. Now, with my Close to My Heart inks, I had a blending brush for every ink pad color. I'm not going to do that with all of my new inks because it's just too many, and I'm using whatever color is closest. So we're adding this beautiful yellow hue, and now let's switch to the Cajun Craze, and we'll bring this color up from the bottom of the leaves, and they'll fade together, and it'll give that look of changing fall colors. I never get tired of using leaves on my fall layouts. I just think the colors are so pretty and I love the way they add texture and dimension and just kind of movement to your layouts. And I find them kind of easy to add to my embellishment clusters. Let me wipe this up and I'll hold that up. Doesn't that look so pretty? Have fun with this process and just get creative. Some colors maybe mix better than others. For this one, I'm going to use Cajun Craze on the outer tips, and then I think we'll go to the cherry cobbler and have the red hue coming from the base. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's even fun to add some splatters. You can get like your ink re-inkers and add a drop of that to your mat and then use a fan brush to kind of dip into it and then tap, tap, tap and splatter onto your leaves for some texture. That would be really pretty also. So I want to add green leaves also. So let's use this one for this large leaf. And I'm using only green on this one, but we'll have varied shades of light and dark. So I'm going to go all over the leaves with the, just light pressure, and then we can darken up the inner portion. I've sped this part up quite a bit, but it didn't take too long to create all of these beautiful leaves. And I love that you can just choose the ink colors to customize and match the papers. So we've got lots of things to work with here. You can also die cut these leaves from coordinating cardstock and then add depth to the cardstock by using the same color ink to add some darker areas. So let me bring this back into frame. And now I need a spot for my journaling. I cut a square from Mossy Meadow cardstock, the same size as my photos, and we'll bring in a white piece for the journaling. And then that kind of made me think maybe I should map my photos. So I cut some more of the Mossy Meadow for this photo, and I'll do one over on the left side as well. So I do want a spray of leaves coming out, anchoring my photos. This is creating that visual horizontal weight to support my photos. And I also want one over here. We have this piece from the coordinating die cuts, so I need something for my leaves to be originating from. So I think that circular piece might do the trick. We need some yellow and red up top to balance out the bottom. And now this one, I added yellow. I don't know if I like that with the lighter green version on the left side. So I think that I'll probably make another one to match the opposite side. So I'm not making exact mirror images on either side, but I am making sure to balance and carry the colors throughout, but using different leaves and kind of arranging them in different locations. So we need a little bit more yellow here. And I can already tell you I want to add some red to those yellow leaves like I did on the left-hand side. I just think that looks really pretty. Now I do want to create a third point of interest, maybe towards the top area of the layout somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure yet. So we've got this little guy here. I'll have to make some more, but we'll set that up there for now. And then these are mesh woven leaves. They're really pretty. I've been having fun adding these to cards and other projects, and it just adds a nice texture and kind of a little shine. So we'll tuck some of these into our leaf clusters here. As I mentioned, this is Thanksgiving of 2020 and it was just my immediate family. It was so strange because I always host and we normally have like 15 to 20 people. Now this stamp is Quarantine Thanksgiving from Close to My Heart. It was like a limited edition stamp that came out and I haven't used it yet. So you can bet I'm going to put it to work on this layout. Now this one says Quarantine Can't Stop Thanksgiving. So I stamped that in Espresso Brown or early espresso, die cut that with one of the die cut shapes from my stash. And I was thinking maybe here, but I actually really like that circular element. So let's bring that back in and see if we can find another spot for this on the layout. I actually like how that counterbalances the text on the title on the opposite page. So I do like it up in that area. Surprise! I brought the white diagonal pieces back in and I actually really like the detail they add to the layout. Sometimes we're just indecisive and we go back and forth and back and forth. I actually stepped away, came back to this the next morning and tried it again and decided I like it. So here's some leftover bits from the workshop kit and I've got this tag and this sticker that says Days to Remember. I want to add this, actually maybe here would be better. I just want a little bit more detail at the top of the layout. We have all of this visual weight with those leaves and we just need to kind of bring some of that to the top. Continuing with my indecisiveness, let's try it again one more time, but no, it does look better up top. And then there are these faux wood grain shapes. They're paperboard punch outs that come along with this workshop kit. And I thought we could add some of these. There's this one little leaf up here and I don't like it by itself. So I finally give up and I go and emboss and die cut some more leaves so he's not by himself, and then move these to the upper right hand page by my quarantine can't stop Thanksgiving. So you can see that there. This is a 2 3/8 circle punch. I love circle punches. They're so quick and easy. I have all of the sizes and they're great for layering. So we're going to add just a little bit of this Cajun Craze over here. I added some of the Neutrals adhesive back sequins in this copper color here, and then some linen twine. I added this to the title here, the top of the tag, and then I ran it around the base of the title and tied a bow just for some fun detail. And you can see those little sparkly sequins scattered about. They kind of catch the look of the fire in the photo there. Let's take a minute and review this awesome collection. I have actually created a lot of layouts with this paper pack. Here's another one. Now the pumpkins were from a stamp set in my stash, but all of the paper is from the workshop. And then there's this one, which is very closely based off of one of the workshop designs. And then I even used the wonky graph paper on this layout to create that border going all the way across. And all I have left is this. So I have a full sheet of this stripe paper, which is one of the specialty papers, and then very little amount of scraps there. So that's kind of exciting to me. I actually have enough. If I want to, I might create a single page layout, or I will use this up to make some fall cards and call it done. So I'm super happy with how all of these turned out. And each one of these has a process video on my channel, but having the workshop just really helped this to come together easily. And then I just changed up the embellishments a bit. So let's bring this back in so we can see the difference here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but there is the layout as intended, which is beautiful. I just added a bit more embellishing with my leaves and then some, custom ephemera to help tell the story. And of course I changed this part up the most. I widened it, added my journaling in the center, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. For still shots and close-ups, you can head on over to Instagram, Facebook, or Pinterest. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and everything I used will be listed in the description box below. Happy crafting, everyone!